yeah? My name's Richard Evans. You know me as Richard EIS, and I run the Erasure Information Service. It's important to say that tonight isn't a concert. It's much more than that. It's a celebration of the partnership between two very special people. It's a pleasure for me to be here talking about it. It's been a tricky couple of years for Erasure. And when we started talking about what we could do to dip a toe back into the water of the band, we decided on three things. At the last show I only remember two of them. We decided that the shows would need to be intimate. We decided that the shows would need to be fun. And we decided that the shows would need to be informal. We promised you music, we promised you conversation, and we promised you nonsense. And you're going to get all those things tonight. We're going to start off with some conversation. And rather than me talking to myself, I'm going to introduce two people who kind of need no introduction in this evening. I'd like to introduce Vince Clarke and Andy Bell. I've interviewed Erasure a few times over the years, and something that always strikes me is that they never remember anything about what they've done. So we've got 40 years of history to talk about tonight. And what I've done is I've put together a collection of small video clips, which I hope will remind Vince and Andy about the past. We'll see how it goes.
He said, well, you need to get someone permanent. So that's what we did the auditions, and he finished the auditions, and he sounded amazing. Hence, Erasure.
So the reason I chose that particular clip was because I wanted to talk to Vince and Andy about Daniel Miller and about Muse. Now, unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately, Daniel can't be with us tonight. So you can be as honest as you want. Start with you, Vince, in your first meeting with Daniel.
So the first time that Daniel and I met was at Rough Trade. David Gordon and I were taking around a cassette demo to various record companies. And we went to Rough Trade, and Rough Trade weren't interested. And then Rough Trade said, well, this guy might be interested. And he wasn't interested. So then the next time that we met, we were supporting Back At It in the Bridge House in the east end of London. Daniel came backstage and said, would you like to make a single? We went, fuck, you two right. This is new records we're talking about. Yeah, because they were so cool. So that's how we met here.
And Andy, you must have met him quite a bit later. So do you remember your first meeting with Daniel?
I can't remember meeting him the first time. Because Vince and I were in the studio for so long on recording Wonderland. I mean, I thought all my birthdays had come at once, when they said, would you like starting to work with Vince Clarke? And I said, yeah, of course I would, And but Vince had a single coming out with Paul Quinn from Bourgie, and it was part of the Assembly project, which was going to be loads and loads of different singers. This was pre-Soul to Soul, before they thought of the idea. And So they said they put me on a retainer for £150 a week, which was a lot of money to me as well in those times. So I went to Ibiza like, for a little while, you know, till they were ready. You know? And they said, right, we're ready, come in the studio. But we were in, not Strong Room, Towns, Trident, for 6 months at least, weren't we, Vince? And I think I must have met Daniel in the studio or either having Indian food one night, because he came in to listen. And, but I don't think he was particularly worried at that time because it was taking so long, because Vince had already earned them some money, so, but I think by the time the money was running out, he was getting a bit sweating and stuff like that, so, yeah, I think I remember him first saying to me, oh, because first time we went on Top of the Pops was only a year after when Sometimes came out. He said, well, you're not going to be able to go on the underground, on the tube anymore, you know. I said, oh, you know, really? But I do now. But, yeah, he's, that was it.
So how important do you think Daniel has been in the story of Erasure?
I mean, you know, just incredibly important because, you know, Mute Records have supported us for 40 years. And that's unheard of. All the bands that I know from my past, I mean, they were signed to major labels and even to Rough Trade. You know, the interest waned, but Daniel was always supportive of us. I mean, we've made some pretty crappy records. I mean, let's face it. And nevertheless, Mute Records are always behind us. So, and it's interesting because when I first met Daniel, I remember thinking, God, he's really old. And do you know when you get older, the people that were older than you suddenly don't seem that much older? And that's what it's been like for me and Daniel. So now I feel that, you know, myself and Daniel are friends, which is huge.
Pretty much you know, it's like Vince said, as you get older, then somebody who's 80, they're kind of like, oh, they could be your friend, someone who was 70. You know, I was never an ageist person anyway, so, you know. But, yeah, with Daniel, probably we would have been dropped in 1994, otherwise, I would imagine. Yeah.
And is it true that you don't have a contract with Mute Records? It's all on a handshake?
Pretty much true.
I'm not sure we got a handshake, actually.
Yeah.
It was just like, this is how it was, because that's the way the Rough Trade used to operate back in the day. It was an agreement, and an agreement of trust. And that whole trust thing has continued for 40 years, which is incredible.
Another video.
Oh, those West End girls for a minute.
There's something going on, there's something not quite right. There's something strange happening to me. There's someone at the door, and your voice is in my head. It seems to know where they are to be. Love like that. It's love like that.
For those of you who don't know, that is literally Andy Bell's audition tape from the first time that these guys met. So I wanted to talk to you about meeting for the first time. What did you think of Vince Clarke?
Well, I had already seen Vince once time. He didn't know that I was kind of stalking him before. No, I went to another audition, sorry. It was for a band called Bow Wow Wow. It was their spin-off band. They had a spin-off band. So I went in there. I think they were she was going solo, or Annabella Lynn, she was going solo, or something anyway. But I went into the Blackwing Studios, which Vince used to half own with Eric. we did upstairs at Eric's, and there was Vince playing the Space Invader machine. And I thought like, oh my God, that's Vince Clarke over there, you know. I was training to be all cool and everything, just walked by and, you know. But I didn't get the job then because I didn't know how to hold the microphone properly. After all those years with my hairbrush, practicing, I still didn't know how to do it. So, well, that was the excuse they gave me. Probably I wasn't outgoing enough. But then, when I answered my second audition, I'd rang the whole weekend and they said, well, we'll call you back. I thought, there's no way, they won't call back. And then somebody called me back on Monday and they said, do you know who Vince Clarke is? I was like, yes. They said, well, this is for him and you need to be here today and, you know, we want you 2 o'clock, whatever. So I thought, fucking hell. And I remember just like getting dressed up. I had a brown and orange umbrella, and going to Blackbeard. It was quite rainy, and I thought, whatever happens, I'm just going to meet Vince Clarke, sing some of his songs, and see what it's like to be in the studio with him. And that was it. That's what I thought. Well, you know, if all else fails, at least I'll get to meet him.
So same question to you, Vince, but first, I don't know if anyone else thought this as well. What was your Space Invaders score?
Actually, it wasn't Space Invaders. You know, it was that game, you know, I can't remember what it was called, but it was like a sort of a shape like this, a pentagram or something, and it went round and round and round. Asteroids. That was it. That was a great game. I'm sometimes shocked that you saw me and you didn't recognise my high score. You were just thinking about my music prowess.
I didn't want you, like, you know, invading your fringe space, Vince.
You know what, it's really interesting because I was looking at that commercial, the melody maker, the thing that we ran, and I'm thinking, whose phone number is that?
I have to say that I've phoned it. It doesn't work anymore. But it would have been brilliant if it was Vince. So Vince, what do you remember about Andy? What stood out about him in your auditions?
Well, Mark Ellis and I was Flood, the producer I was working with at the time. We'd spent the weekend listening to people singing, and seriously, I mean, the moment he opened his gob, that was it. I mean, both Flood and I looked at each other going, yeah, this is going to work really, really well. And that was as much as needed to be said. It was perfect.
I'm giving the award for the best British group. Who's it going to be? It is Erasure!
In 1989, Erasure won the Brit Award for Best UK English Group. And it was important for 2 reasons, really. I mean, one, it was a recognition of everything these guys did together at that point. But also, there was the Kiss, which caused quite a furore in 1989, even more so than the fact that that particular Brit Awards was hosted by Mick Fleetwood and Samantha Fox. And you know what I'm talking about. So Andy, the Kiss.
Yes, well it was all very exciting because, I'm very shy, I didn't know what I was going to say, and then, Mute had flown us over from, I think we were in New York as well, I'm not sure, but like on a private flight to go to the Brits because we weren't going to go. And then so I said, I'll go, you know, and they flew us over. I'd never been on a private plane or anything before, so all of a sudden felt like, well, this is like big league kind of time, you know. And then we flew over, and I had no idea either it was going to be Boy George presenting me the award. And you know, I was a huge fan of his at the time, and when I saw him, I just said to him, "Oh, come in, let me give you a kiss." Like, right on his lips, you know. And it wasn't like, we'd never think of things in, oh, how can we get some good press or anything like that. So we just did it, and yeah, I think he really liked it as well. It's kind of, you know, he's always been very, we only bump into each other off and on, but last time was coming in the line in, coming back out of Denmark, trying to get out of Denmark, and they weren't going to let us get out because we hadn't had our passport stamped. So she said, "Oh, what is this? No, you cannot leave. This is, you are not long enough here." And I'm like, "Yes, we are. So they finally let us through, but I felt this tap on my shoulder. I looked around, there was Boy George in the line as well. He goes, "Oh, you're right, Mary."
Vince, you are conspicuously absent from that award ceremony. Where were you?
I don't remember where I was, but I do remember not wanting to go. I mean, I've done a couple of those award ceremonies before, and it just wasn't my thing. It wasn't. So, and I knew that Andy would enjoy them.
I'll have anything. I'll take anything.
The funny thing is, actually, afterwards, that he, after the award ceremony, he went out clubbing with the award in his hand. So the people at the door would say anything to chicken, so, you know, jacket, shoes, whatever. He goes, "This." So it would be the award.
I was carrying it around the club with me, showing it to people. I think it was at GAY, you know. I said, "Oh yeah, I won an award, yeah, look." They said, "Where is it?" I said, "Oh, it's over there." But I lost one of the prongs from the trident, it's still missing. So whoever's got it, maybe him up.
So for bonus points, do either of you remember the bands who were up against you for that award?
Well, it must have been the other band.
Pet Shop Boys was one.
Every year. And Curiosity Killed the Cat.
Not Curiosity Killed the Cat.
Pow!
No. It was the Christians, Def Leppard, the Pet Shop Boys, whoever they are, and Wet Wet Wet.
I think we did really well to get it with all that lot in there.
So I chose this one because it was recorded at the Roskilde Festival in Denmark at a time when Vince and Andy were allowed in and out in 2017. And I wanted to bring up the subject of festivals because Erasure generally doesn't really do festivals. And I wanted to ask why.
Wow, I don't know, because it's always such an uncontrolled environment, I think. And I am a control freak. So it's all about the sound and, you know, the set and how it all looks and sounds. But in a festival situation, it's really boring. But basically you get kind of 20 minutes to do a sound, not even a sound check, a line check it's called. And so they work out that your instrument's working. And whereas back in the day, I would spend like an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours before the show trying to make sure that the sound was perfect. So it's It's me, sorry. I apologise.
It's not true, Vince. It's not you. It's not you because I think always I've been very uncomfortable with you know when you do pop concerts. I would never like to be that kind of Christ-like, you know, opening your arms out and then jumping on the audience and then all carry you around all over the place and stuff. I hate to be like that.
That's more Vince, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more Vince. He said, because one time they asked us, I think it was on Maverick, wasn't it, Vince? They said, would you ride through on two cowboys through San Francisco to the record shop? Remember, we were doing the signing there on two horses. So he said, oh God. So he said, all right then. But Vince, you know, correctly so, but we don't like to kind of create fake hysteria just for the sake of doing it, because to get the police out and to have crowds and stop the traffic, because it's not real.
And it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's really embarrassing. Yeah.
So I have one more question on the subject of festivals. If you were offered Glastonbury, would you do it?
No.
Okay.
So that answers that question.
You're so lonely.
Baby, refrain from breaking my heart. I'm so in love with you, oh, baby.
So that clip was taken from a TV show called Scrubs. It's very funny, good TV show. And it was a Little Respect episode when throughout the episode, the song, people just kept coming back to the song. And it's like, I wanted to talk about Little Respect because it is the monster song, you know, within the Erasure catalogue. And how do you feel when you see it being used in these amazing ways? Vince, you first.
You know, being covered or being seen on TV in an advert, a commercial, on a TV show or a film, it's incredibly flattering. I mean, because, you know, it's not what you intended to do. You intended to write the best song that you possibly could. And, you know, we write songs for ourselves. And then we hope that other people will like it. And then when you see it like on a TV show, because other people like it too, it's so flattering, and it makes me loads of money.
Feel like when you're writing, you never ever say, right, today we're going to write an anthem. Right, it goes like this. We don't really do that, and you kind of weren't. I mean, we never ever thought of adverts anyway before then, because you just wanted to be played on the radio. Now, as radio becomes less and less important, it's like almost the last thing you would have gone for an advert. That's one of the only ways you can get your music heard now. So, but it is weird though. It's when you're hearing like, oh, 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 and there's a car driving along. Sometimes it works, sometimes.
Andy, how many times have you performed Little Respect?
I think 256,000.
Do you ever feel like it's the monster you can't get rid of?
Yes.
I mean, I love doing it. I love doing it, you know, Andy has to sing it, but, you know, I love it when people sing along. I think, well, I think that's a pretty good, nice thing to see.
Yeah.
Because people know the lyrics better than he does.
Yep.
So, very cool.
You couldn't have dreamt it.
So I have to say to start with, Vince and Andy don't know what I'm going to show them. And that's why they don't recognise it, because it's not an Erasure song, and it's not by Erasure. So that's an AI version of Erasure. And obviously AI is like a hot topic at the moment, so I thought it would be interesting to find out what you both think about AI.
I thought that was totally a song that we'd written.
It's called Revolution Baby.
We're going to be replaced, Vince. I can tell it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know how I feel about it. I mean, it's not going to go away. That's the thing to remember. I think it's always going to be there and probably get better and better and better. But you know, at the back of my mind, I'm thinking you should kind of accept it and make something of it, and it will turn into something creative at the end of the day. It will never replace people, I don't think. You know, because it possibly can't. It's very philosophical, sorry.
We'll move on.
I feel like in some ways that's how we've got in contact with aliens. It's already an alien concept, they're beings, and as we like turn into robots and half humans, we'll become AI. Because what's going to be the AI of AI? Nobody knows. And can AI be jealous?
There's some questions that we won't be answering tonight. Andy, do you remember who directed that video?
It's Clark.
Vince Clark, your directing debut, I believe.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I mean, I just thought, well, we'll pay someone else. We'll do it for free.
Was it an enjoyable process for you?
It was fantastic. I mean, we had this idea, Andy and I, in the beginning to make it into a live video. It was a cover song, obviously, it was Peter Gabriel. The interesting thing about that was that when we did the cover version, because the original, I'm boring as shit, but it's in 5/4 time, and then we turned it into 4/4 time, and then we had to get Peter Gabriel's permission to do it, and he agreed, and it turned out really well. But then Andy and I's idea for the video was to be incredibly live, and pretend to be a rock band of sorts. And no, I love it, and it was all shot on 8mm cameras.
It's great. Vince styled me, and I put a fake fringe on because I didn't have any hair left. And I think you made me look the butchest person in a corset, Vince. It worked out really well. I love that video. I really like it.
We had this bass player because myself and the art director had to interview people to be band members. And the bass player, we found this guy, he was really bored, and we thought, yeah, this guy looks really good. And then when it came to shooting the video, he looked a bit kind of stilted, and not quite right on stage. So I said, can you just spread your legs a bit? And then we filmed a little bit, and then I said, can you spread your legs a little bit more? And eventually it was like 6 foot across, in real pain. And that's how we shot the bass player.
Tell me a little bit about the new album Cowboy. What are your influences and what's going to be going on there?
This is quite a dangerous question to ask, given that I'm interviewing Erasure. But it didn't look like you were enjoying yourself there, Vince.
So I don't know what that was, I have no idea.
It was an MTV behind the scenes interview, and they interviewed you about the song. And
It was In My Arms, the video, Vince, the Maverick version. because they didn't like our version of the video in the first place.
What, in America?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember it, sorry.
And that's fine, because actually the reason I chose it was because I wanted to talk to you about publicity and interviews and how much you enjoy doing that sort of thing.
Mrs. Merton!
I'll come to Vince in a minute. Andy, you start with this one.
Well, to be honest, I mean, we've never really had a pact with the press at all. You know, so we've always been very left field, I suppose, and also being out gay in the first place, the press would hardly touch you unless it was for a salacious story. So, you know, it's always been a bit tricky for us to get press, and especially the right-wing press, they, for some reason, they don't like us. That's what I've heard. But you get stories in the Sun and stuff every now and then, but it's all pay-per-view, isn't it? Everything. People don't understand. Everything is pay-per-view and radio.
Vincent, do you love a good interview?
You know, I mean, I've been doing it for quite a while, interviews, we both have. And, you know, some people, you know, we've met some really nice people and journalists that are very interested in what we do, and also journalists that are very knowledgeable, which is great. And there are some times that you meet a journalist that knows fuck all about anything. And so you sort of nod and you shake your head, but you know, it's at the same time I think it's really important. I think we've always been pretty polite.
Yeah, I think we've always been, you know, civil.
Yes.
And you know, I know you can be a bit standoffish sometimes, but somebody. What? If we're having a drink in the pub and all that kind of stuff, and the ambience is right, then it's, you know, you get a good interview. But even having said that, doesn't mean they're going to give you a good review or give you a good write-up. So, you know, I remember one time when you came over to Spain and it was an enemy or something that can do this big spread, blah blah blah. And the end of the thing was, I bet Andy Bell's feet stink. And they do, but
Being an interviewer is feeling a little bit dangerous up here right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send Vince and Andy off stage to get ready to do some songs. So while they're getting themselves ready, I just wanted to say that later in the things that we're doing tonight, there's going to be an audience Q&A section. You probably already know about it, but in case you want to participate and give a question, then you need to scan this QR code right now. And we'll get to those after the interval. And a couple of things to say before they start performing is that we're in a church, a fantastic venue. I hope you're enjoying being here. And as a result, it needs to be a little bit quieter than your average concert from Erasure. There was something else I was supposed to tell you. Can't remember what it was. Oh, actually, yes, I do remember what it was. So when they finished performing, don't think it's the interval, because it isn't the interval. We did this in Scotland a couple of days ago. I didn't get back on stage quick enough, and half the audience had left.